Hey Internet, it's John from 8 Worlds News here to give you a video review of Pikmin 3 for Nintendo's Wii U. Nintendo's lineup has been pretty much the same for the past 25 years or so. You've got your Mario games and their offshoots. You've got Star Fox if you just want to shoot stuff, Zelda if you want to solve puzzles, and Metroid if you want a little of both. Donkey Kong gets bananas, in F-Zero you drive really fast. All of those core Nintendo franchises debuted on one of their first two consoles, the NES or the SNES. Pikmin is one of the few Nintendo franchises to have been born since the end of the 20th century, but you probably already knew that. What you want to know is what makes Pikmin 3 special. Simple really, it's the third game of a Nintendo franchise. Don't get what I mean? Let's hop in Mario's time machine and take a look at history. Alright, Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Star Fox, Pikmin. All of these games started out well, then had a second game that made some changes, for better or for worse, then perfected themselves by learning from the first two games. Think about it. Super Mario Bros. 3 is arguably the best 2D Mario game of all time. The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past is story-driven, puzzle-filled, and introduced us to concepts that still make up Zelda games to this day. Super Metroid used 16-bit to create a dark, scary atmosphere, and gave players just enough hints about what to do without holding their hands. Star Fox 64... Okay, this one's kind of confusing, but if you don't know your obscure Nintendo history, here's the rundown. After the success of Star Fox for the SNES, Nintendo began to work on Star Fox 2, also for the SNES, but at the very end of development it was cancelled because Nintendo didn't want 3D games on the SNES because they wanted people to understand the advantages of the N64. The game was so close to completion that there are actually completed fan-translated ROMs of Star Fox 2 available for download and playable on an emulator. Anyway, point is they were able to take what they learned from two completed games and make the amazing Star Fox 64. And finally, Pikmin 3 finds a perfect balance between the stressful time limits of Pikmin and the non-existent motivation of Pikmin 2, and combines that with the expanding concepts of multiple playable characters from Pikmin 2 to create a perfect Pikmin experience. The plot of Pikmin 3, like its predecessors, is charming, if not deeply complex.
Due to a booming population, booming appetites, and a basic lack of planning, Kopai's inhabitants have all but exhausted their food supply.
They send out probes in search of edible matter, fruit, and discover one planet has what they seek, the presumably post-apocalyptic Earth. Your ship makes a crash landing, and your three explorers are thrown into three different parts of the planet and must reunite. Unlike in the first Pikmin, where you had a very strict time limit and had to find all the parts of your ship, in Pikmin 3 you're just looking for one piece, the Cosmic Drive Key. There is no set time limit, but your crew does need to eat. Your other objective, besides fixing your ship, is of course to find seeds you can plant on Kopai. You do this by finding fruit. Once you get fruit back to your ship, the seeds go into storage, and the juice is used as food. As long as you collect fruit and harvest juice, you can remain on the planet as long as you need to. The game therefore introduces resource management elements, which demand that you balance your time between gathering fruit and exploring/solving puzzles. Multitasking is extremely important. In Pikmin 3 you have control of 3 explorers, each of whom can control their own unit of Pikmin. That part is pretty much just an extra character added onto Pikmin 2. What Pikmin 3 does differently, however, is the ease of multitasking. In Pikmin 2 you had to manually move each explorer where you wanted them to be and give them a task. Meanwhile, the other explorer would hang around, not accomplishing anything. In Pikmin 3, Nintendo has used the gamepad to allow you to quickly zoom the camera around the world and assign waypoints to each explorer. This allows you to be working with one unit while another unit is on their way to another task. This feature has been common in PC real-time strategy games for decades via minimaps. However, Nintendo's gamepad allows it to work seamlessly on a console for the first time. Many reviewers have criticized Pikmin 3 for using the gamepad as a map. They say this is an easy way out. If you think that's true, then I challenge you to play the later levels of the game without ever using the functions of the gamepad. It just can't be done. You have to multitask and control all your explorers at once in order to deal with many of the puzzles of the game. This is particularly true of a certain boss which chases your explorers through a maze of caves. One explorer must be used to distract the boss, while the other two must work together to solve puzzles and find a way out of the maze. This is fantastic use of the hardware. Those who say the gamepad implementation is nothing more than a map obviously haven't gotten very far into the game, and their reviews just shouldn't be taken seriously. Overall, Pikmin 3 is a visually stunning experience. A lot of attention is paid to presentation. Watching your ship and the Onion launch off the planet after the end of a hard day's work is a visual reward we Nintendo fans are not used to getting at this level of detail. The changing light of passing days shows off the high-resolution geometry and detailed bump mapping, made possible by an HD console. Though perhaps the greatest visual treat the game has to offer is rain. When you begin exploring on a rainy day, the world becomes much more interesting to look at. The rain rolls off rocks and turns the ground to mud. The light from your explorers' helmets reflects off the wet surfaces and makes the world feel more real. There are a few areas in which Nintendo's inexperience with HD graphics does become evident. The ground textures can be a bit blurry. This isn't an issue when your camera is positioned high in the sky, but when it drops down during a cinematic or when you're using the first-person camera mode, the ground textures become glaringly obvious. Is this essentially the Pikmin you've played before with slight improvements? Yeah, but so were Super Mario Bros. 3, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Super Metroid, and Star Fox 64. I'm gonna give Pikmin 3 a 9.5 out of 10. It's easily one of the best Wii U games we've seen so far, and it's finally making me glad that I own this system. I feel like I'm getting experiences I can't get anywhere else, and that's what being a Nintendo fan is all about. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, follow us on Twitter at 8worlds, go like us on Facebook, facebook.com/8worldsnews, and make sure to check out our blog for more reviews, 8worldsnews.blogspot.com. Thanks for watching. My name's John Reardon. Have a great day.
Sorry? Who? Upton? On more. Na. So. Karupupe.